Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the latest of our free webinars from Catalyfe, broadcasting live from Tallinn in Estonia. Also on screen, you can see is our guest speaker today, Brit Normet, our expert star health and wellbeing coach. Hello, Brit.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see you here. If any of you have never seen Brit before, you are in for a treat today. My goodness, this woman is an amazing coach, and she has something special for us today. Because today, what we're doing is completing our two-part series on how to consolidate our experience of 2021 in our body, in our heart, and in our minds, and make a transition towards 2022 and build healthy new habits. And we didn't need to wait till January 1st, Brit, did we, to make a New Year's resolution?
Absolutely. New Year's resolution starts today.
New Year's resolution starts today. Excellent. And the new year starts today. The new you, the true you might say, Brit, starts today. So welcome back to Brit. And I know we're going to have some detailed conversation very shortly. Alison's joined us from Trinidad. Hello, Alison. Are you joining us on your brand new iPhone yet? Alison won a competition to get an iPhone.
You lucky one.
Yeah, she'll type that answer soon. Okay, so usual introductions. I'm the project manager at Catalyfe. So my role basically is to introduce these events. But the real star of the show is the lady you see on your screen, Brit. For the benefit of anybody who doesn't know you or has never met you or had any of the webinars with you before, please could you tell us a bit about yourself and why what you do matters so much to you?
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for having me here today. I can describe myself the best of health passion freak, and freak in the best sense, because since I was a young child, I've always been passionate about being healthy. I never liked being sick. I never liked being really down with my emotions. And I always tried to find way out. Whenever I was in a difficult position, emotionally or physically, my inner being was fighting to find the way out. And I think because of that, I've learned so many different ways. And later on in life, I've studied thoroughly Pilates technique, and I'm master of Pilates technique now after 20 years. I've also studied nutrition very thoroughly. I've studied aromatherapy, etc., natural remedies. So my passion is health, and my passion is to keep myself healthy, keep my family healthy, and now, of course, help to keep you healthy as well. So I'm sharing all my knowledge that I've stored up throughout my long life and all the experiences that I've had with people who I've been helping through my holistic approach through Pilates and all the other natural remedies and breathing.
Can you tell us what you mean by holistic approach? And we've just been, by the way, we've just been joined by Jashan Preet Singh. So hello, namaste, or should I say Sat Sri Akal, I'm guessing. So Brit, yes, what do you mean by holistic approach?
Yes, a holistic approach is nowadays commonly used when it's meant to have everything in unison: your mental state, your physical state, your nutrition, your the mindset and everything. So for me, holistic approach is the whole being of a human being and everything that has under it: nutrition to feed your body, but also I have a very specific saying of mental nutrition, because whatever we give out throughout our mouth, the words, the meanings, the thoughts, that will feed our mind. So, and everything we think feeds our mind and soul. So we actually have a physical nutrition, which is the food we eat and drink, but also the mental nutrition. So I deal with both sides, and the physical exercise and breathing is the like a house around it. So it's the holistic approach to engage the whole human being to the exercise and the practice.
Indeed, and in fact, one of our learning points today, which I'm sure you'll cover later, is to see how nutritional and mental states interconnect.
Yes.
And speaking of interconnection, this is part 2 of a two-parter. If you missed part 1, by the way, that's okay. We have the recording on our website, www.catalyfe.com. And my colleague, Erica, I'll ask her if she can put up a link in the chat directly to that course, that webinar, I beg your pardon. So hopefully that'll pop up in the message feed soon. But what we're doing today is building on the foundation that was set in the previous session with Kyla Dagenet, where we did the guided meditation. Again, you can watch that recording yourself, or even if you went through it, you can go through it again. So this is about grounding yourself in the moment of acceptance, self-love, and compassion. And today I know that, Brit, you're going to be taking us through some relaxation and stretching to get us into the proper mindset and body set. And again, that should address our first learning point today, which is understanding how and where and why the body stores up tension.
Yes.
So I will now hand over to you. And your experience in the last session, for example.
Yes. Well, Kyla took it all very nicely together to bringing us to this very present moment and gently letting go the things that stored up in our emotional being throughout the past year. And I think different people have had different experiences throughout the COVID period. Some people have had more stress, some less stress. For some people, it's been a blessing time. But from now, we will take this present awareness to the next year, and we will build the stretch and strength to carry us through, because the emotional state is often guided through our physical and vice versa. There's a really strong link and connection between the mental and the physical. And there's sometimes a great way to approach your mental state through physical. For instance, if you've been bruised mentally through difficult situation, through trauma, through loss of your loved one, uh, even if you've experienced severe illness yourself and you still recovering, whether it's COVID or any other illnesses, then your mental state is quite fragile. So it's no point starting to deal with the mental state because it's fragile anyway. So we can go through the physical and build the strength in your physical being, which will give the strength for your mental in order to go through the difficult parts in your life. So there's a really strong and wonderful connection between the mental and physical. And nutrition is almost like a glue in between them too.
I've heard it said, by the way, I learned this when I was working in India, eat your food like your medicine, or you'll end up eating your medicine like your food. So you're talking about feeding our minds, feeding our souls, feeding our hearts, feeding our bodies. I've also heard it said that in order to change our mental state, it's easier to start with our physical state. So how, at the beginning of last week's session, Kyla got us grounded in the moment. How can you get us grounded now?
Well, the first very important part is, if we think about most people, what they do nowadays is that they sit on their chairs like you, Jim, and they curl forward to protect themselves from all the stress that they experience.
Yeah.
And of course, the actual working position enforces it, because we in front of our computers, our focus is down, or in our smartphones, and it allows us to curl even more forward and kind of get ourselves into this bubble of tightness, and everything else that are stored emotionally will get stuck in that bubble. And then when you stand up after a long day of working or after a stressful dialogue with somebody, it's very hard to let the anxiety go if the muscles are tensed around it and almost keeps it tight inside you, or it's a trauma or whatever. So the first thing is we start to stretch out our upper backs. So wherever you are at the moment, and Jim, you're in the chair, you can also stretch your arms to both sides.
I guess
Yes, just
you
stretch them out.
need
And
widescreen,
you,
right?
yes. So, and keep your fingers long, like you can see one of my hands and the other one is there. So the fingers are long if you can. If you don't have enough space, you can also stretch the arms like this. So the elbows are stretching the upper back. So you can
So
also do that.
okay.
So if you can, you keep them the same where your shoulders are. And now when you inhale deeply, and as you exhale, you start reaching the arms back
Oh, wow.
as much as they go. And you inhale, you bring the arms where your shoulders are, the same width, and you exhale and you take the arms back.
It's like Superman about to take off.
A little bit, yes. Now make sure Kyla was really working on our necks.
Yeah.
So try to avoid, when you take the arms back, try to avoid to bring your head forward.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes. So keep stretching the head long, inhale, and take the arms back only as much as you don't have to compensate with your neck.
Okay.
And you stretch and you keep your head in the same place and you bring them back and relax. So it's a really simple exercise that you can do and you already feel that
Mhm.
everything is moving.
Good. So that's a good start. Thank you. Moving ahead, we'll need to build on this foundation, build this inner strength. I know we're going to be working on inner core stuff as well. And I'm interested to know, can you explain more about how that inner core strength that we do? So this is kind of opening our chest up. I know that helping us
Mhm.
breathe better. And Kyla was talking about oxygenation, and I'm sure you have your own views on that as well. So now I'm breathing better. What's the connection between the inner core strength and our mental strength?
Well, if we think about the body, how it's built up, then the most strength is around our waist area.
Hmm.
That's where most of the muscles are hold the balance, they hold the posture, they hold the arms and the back moving, holds the legs moving. So the most important part is that the core being, so say. In Pilates, we even call it powerhouse. Joseph Pilates called our powerhouse because when your core is strong, the rest of the body works freely. If your core is weak, then the tension goes to the extremities because somehow with some muscles you have to move your shoulders, your arms, your legs. So your hips get too much of the tension, your shoulders, your upper back, and then you start to tense up, and then the core doesn't support you.
Hmm.
So you need to have the core strong and sit everything, the shoulders, and sit on top of like a pillar. It's like your inner pillar. Now, if we think about the stomach area, you know how they say it's a solar plexus, which is the center part of our emotions. Well, it's also the very personal area because it's all of our when women give birth from here, the baby is born here. So and for men, it's also a very personal area. We always protect that.
It's fourth and fifth
So,
chakra.
sorry.
Fourth and fifth chakra around here.
Yes, also the chakra system. And so if we think about this area, we need to protect it with
Seventh.
strength of the muscles
Hmm.
to give us straight up, right? Because the moment we have weakness here and somebody attacks us mentally, what do we do immediately? Up, we want to round and protect the stomach. We want to protect our heart and we want to protect ourselves. So the emotions are reacted by the physical immediately without you even thinking about it because it's a kind of a subconscious motion. So more you get the attacks, the more you round up, the more you protect yourself and you become very tight and curled forward. So when we start to build the strength to the core, relax the shoulders, then we can breathe freely again and we can start to let go the anxiety and all the stress that's stored up. So it's really important to build the physical strength to keep you upright. So you have the strength to actually let go the emotions as well.
It's really interesting. And in one of our previous conversations, I seem to recall you saying something how the body will remember trauma, emotional trauma, long after you've let go of it.
Yes, Because this is our survival instinct, and we have this limbic brain, which is the oldest version of brain, which the lizards and reptiles have. And limbic brain is the one that always watches that everything is safe. So basically, we store the negative in order to protect ourselves.
Mhm.
Like the same for animals, they remember the negative in order to save themselves. So if they face the same danger, they know that now I have to run before the danger hits them. So for people, it's the same. We remember the negative in order to protect ourselves. And I think if we all focus on that and think about it, I think you remember some maybe events from your childhood when you still kind of emotionally react to some event that whatever you were afraid of dark and somebody locked you up in a dark room. I had this kind of trauma when I was a child. The boys were having fun, locked me up in a dark room until nowadays when I'm in a dark like forest or somewhere, I get this like, because I remember the fear that I experienced there.
Mhm.
So your body remembers. And that is why it's so important to learn the techniques to let go of these fears, of these traumas, because otherwise they just tense us up too tightly and we're becoming sick and we will start to experience already the next levels of problems.
And when we get to that next level of problems, that's when we need to change our habits. And
Yes.
we're going to be talking about habits very shortly. I just wanted to say that Josh Umpreet has asked for more details. That was about a few minutes ago. So we've just spent a few minutes giving more details at the time that you wrote that question. If you have any more questions at any point, anyone, please drop them in. If you're watching on Facebook, drop them into the Facebook feed. Erica will pick them up and then paste them into here so I can see them because I'm not watching Facebook. So yeah, by all means, drop any questions that you have at any point. I hope to have a Q&A at the end. If it turns out that there aren't any questions, that's a good sign. It means that the material is speaking for itself. But yes, so if that's given you more information that you want, Josh and Preet, then brilliant. If you want to know anything else, drop us a question. Put a question mark at the end of it, then I can put it on screen for Brit to answer. But in the meantime, I've just been talking about habits. And you were talking about the habitual thing about crunching up and the habitual thing about people looking like this on their phones and that kind of neck thing going on. So how do we actually create new habits? What do we need to change? How do we need to make that change stick in order for those habits to become healthy ones?
Well, it's really important to take that first step. I always uh, say to people that the butterfly effect of taking the first step towards any change you want to make. So when you already have taken the first step, then find somebody to support you, whether it's a course on Catalyfe, whether it's somebody who's your teacher, somebody who's authority to you and will guide you through the first 10 steps. And then you already start to build the habit. And also here in Catalyfe, why we do such a nice short courses, which I always like to have like a short courses in our busy lives. That's exactly in order to keep you on track, keep you company on that journey so that you don't find it's too overwhelming to take the next step and next step. So it's really important to take the first step and then start to follow some kind of guideline to keep you at it. And then eventually, when you start to feel the benefit of making a change in your life and you start to feel good, then it's really hard to fall back. And if it happens, then again, take that step and start going on. So I think it's almost really important to remind yourself that you are your best friend. I think we as a people, we often forget that I am my company from birth to death. Other people can come and go from my life. Even you can lose your husband, you can lose your children, you can lose your parents, you can lose your best friends, but you and you are the best friends. And that's really important to remember because whatever I do to myself, I actually end up doing to others. The
That's
way
a
I
good point.
respect myself, the way I love myself, I take care of myself, I will end up doing that to others. So it's really important. It's really important to love yourself.
I'd like you to repeat that. What we
It's
do
really
to
important to love yourself.
yes, but also that part about what we do to ourselves, we do to others.
Yes, that whatever we do to ourselves, like the way we take care of ourselves, the
Mhm.
way we respect ourselves, the way we love ourselves, we end up treating others like this
Wow.
because it's inevitable. It becomes overflowing from you. And I think another really important thing that I want to give you watching this is that forgiving yourself is the key and the core of your being because we
That,
do make mistakes.
and that's one of the things that I believe we focused on in previous webinar and also in previous webinars with you is about the act and the art of self-forgiveness, and it is a
Yes.
discipline. Um,
Yeah.
so when things get mentally or emotionally difficult, what do we always have to fall? What should always be there for us to fall back on?
I can say that the best and the strongest foundation to give ourselves, no matter what we go through, is gratitude. Gratitude to minor little things.
Mhm.
And I think most of us can find even the tiniest things to be grateful for. And I think the two main things in human being is the forgiveness and gratitude. And these two things will give you the inner peace, inner satisfaction, inner richness. I always love that saying that when you're poor but you're rich, then you will be rich when you're rich. And but when you're poor, you will be poor when you're rich. So your inner being is the one that needs to be satisfied. And we can only satisfy the core being by forgiving and being grateful. And I think especially throughout any trauma period, when you've experienced tremendous trauma or loss or fear or any kind of severe emotions that have bruised you and left you with anxiety and sadness and almost hopelessness or fear for the future, when you start to write down every day, even two things for each day, what you're grateful for, it will
Mhm.
start to build up the same core strength, but emotionally. So if we build up physically, we can also build it parallel emotionally by being grateful. So it's really important.
And I think this is an important theme in your work as well, particularly that course that we have on Catalyfe at the moment, the 11-day Pilates retreat, is about increasing your physical core strength and at the same time increasing your mind core strength. And when you put the two together, you get something powerful. And then you bring into play nutrition. So when you put physical strength, mental strength, and healthy nutritional habits together, that's when you get this like strong self. And is this what you mean by the butterfly effect, or is that something else we cover later?
Well, the butterfly effect is my almost my new logo for my own self and for the work that I will present in the future. Is that the you know how butterfly makes its flap with a wing and then eventually will become tsunami because it causes the vibration in the air. With
Mhm.
the same when we take the first step towards something that we want to change. And that first, uh, whatever, the first word you write that you're grateful for, or your first exercise you do, it will start to create this vibration in you. And your body and your mind immediately reacts to that. If you can even test it when you're in maybe a little bit sad place at the moment, and you can start to think about two things that you're grateful for
Mhm.
and focus on them, and you feel how your your face lights up because you're like, oh wow, I noticed, Jim, that you really admired the snow in one of your Facebook posts, and you know, if you like snow, I mean, think about snow. Or if you're in India, think about some blossoms that are blooming in winter, or whatever is that makes you feel like, wow, what a wonder of life, you know.
It sounds like we're going down the road of the parasympathetic system. So I'd like to touch on that later. In the meantime, though, I want to pick up on something you said about small things can make a difference.
Mhm.
And we've spoken about a few habits that we could change. Now, one of my habits that I know I've got a bad one doing is I don't eat and drink healthily enough, or not as much as I should do. One of the things I'm trying to do is move over to a plant-based diet. um, Joshua Repeat has a tell about eggs. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean about tell about eggs, but if you could specify, that would be good. I was just about to say about vegans, and vegans don't eat eggs, so that's okay. Rewind. I want to know about some of the habits that we can change, some new techniques that we can introduce to our daily life to help us not just release tension, but prevent tension from happening in the first place, and also revitalizing. There was something about water, you said. I'm drinking water, but you said something else about water.
Yes, I've recommended people to drink alkaline water, and I know there's a lot of information about different types of alkaline water, but I think the simplest is to use Himalaya pink salt. So if you put a pinch of salt into a glass of water or in the bottle of water, it already puts some minerals in the water and makes the water more alkaline.
Mm-hmm.
You can also use the lemon juice, preferably organic, if you can get hold of organic lemon juice. I love to use lemon peel oil. So to put one drop of oil into my big bottle of water. So there's a different ways to make the water alkaline, but it's really important that to add something to water, because nowadays the water that we drink is mostly from the tap that is somehow purified through different systems. So it doesn't really necessarily reach our body cells. It kind of stays in the middle way because it doesn't have this mineral that takes you all the way to the cell and the cell core to give you the water that you need for your body. So often the cells are dry even though you drink a lot of water. So just a little pinch of salt into the glass of water, it's great already.
Himalayan pink salt.
Yes,
Okay. Now, did you see my reaction to that? I was like, drinking salt water? No, thanks. I've
yes.
swam in the sea a few times. It really doesn't agree with me. But you've just reminded me that in the gym I go to a few months ago, I was asking for some water, and I was trying to ask in Estonian. It's an impossible language, by the way, if anybody's watching. And the member of staff there was trying to translate into English what the because I didn't understand, and she was saying salt water. I was like, "You want to give me salt water?" And I'm not going to do that. And then she changed and said, "No, I mean mineral water."
Yes.
So now you're making me think of mineral water. Okay, good. So there's a piece of advice I can start to look for. Look to use
Yes.
organic lemon peel as well.
Yes. I mean, the salt water is basically mineral water. It's just the difference is that it's not in the bottle because
Hmm.
we're trying to avoid to constantly buy things in a plastic bottle
Yeah, thank you
because
for
no
that.
matter how wonderful plastic it is, it still leaks into the water because you don't know how long the water has been stored in a plastic, what temperature it has been stored, and therefore it's not really healthy. Also, it's not very healthy for the environment as well. So I'd rather take tap water and pinch of salt in it, and you already have a mineral water.
Well, I've heard that on average, a bottle of plastic water on the supermarket shelf has been already in that bottle for at least 6 months. Anyway,
Yes, and
okay, so there's some useful there's some nutritional advice. We've had some emotional advice. We've had a little bit of physical advice, but today is more about the physical, isn't it? And one of our guests is saying about exercises for the body. The good news, dear viewer, Brit is about to take us through something practical. While you're setting up, I'll just set the context. So I know that in your existing course and in your course that's coming up, you do focus a lot on some good exercises. Or we even have mood lighting. Oh
Yes,
God.
but you know what? The outside light has gone darker, so I don't think you'll be able to see me. So I
Yeah.
would need to put the light back on.
Let's put the light. Yeah, it's Estonia. It's already dark outside. It's 3 o'clock and it's dark.
Yes, it gets dark really fast in winter, so
Yeah, so I was saying that I know in your 11-day Pilates retreat, there's a lot of emphasis on physical work, and also in your forthcoming 4 to 6 week version of that, there's more physical work coming. And
yeah.
one of the things that we need to do today is to learn some techniques, cut, edit. One of the things that we need to do today is to look at how breath work can affect our body and our physical movements. And I know you've done a setup here to take us through. So what practical stuff can we do now? Give us some examples.
Well, if you sit comfortably in your chair, and I'm here on my big barrel, so you can actually do the same exercises with me. You can just copy whatever I do in front here, because I'm really passionate about giving people a simple sets of exercises that they can do no matter where they are. So they don't have to have a specific equipment every time, that they will know how to use their simple chair at home, their simple space around them, and their own body extremities like hands and legs and their head. So we're trying to use things that are available, and you can help yourself at every step. So if you sit comfortably on
Okay.
top of your sit bones, and you put your feet on the floor, so you can actually put the full foot on the
Yep.
floor and you feel supported,
Yep.
then let's squeeze the hands into a fist and make the elbows face forward. So the fists are, and the palms are facing towards you, and the elbows are here.
Okay.
So when you stretch your neck long, trying to feel that your head is floating on top of your neck. So it's really light. And Kyla did it beautifully, how she relaxed her neck and get the atlas really free and floaty. So what you do is you keep your head light and you stretch the elbows all the way back, and you come forward as you inhale. And you exhale, keep squeezing the fist and reach the elbows behind. And you inhale together and you exhale back. And let's do the last one. I already feel that really nicely stretches the chest muscles and also the shoulders. And when you feel them behind your back as well. Now line your elbows with your shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see, Jim, it's already working for you. And now
Yep.
stretch the fist to the ceiling as high as it goes and bring it back to the shoulder level. And you stretch the fist to the ceiling, but keep looking
Inhale as you stretch.
forward. Exhale when you stretch, but keep your eyes forward and bring your elbow down to the shoulder level. So
Exhale when you
inhale
stretch.
and exhale when you stretch. Don't look up, look forward. And bring the elbow down, inhale, and exhale, last one. And bring it down and rest your hands for a second.
What's the atlas?
Atlas, it's the final vertebra, and your head is just floating on top of the final vertebra. It's called atlas. And because your head is not attached to the vertebrae, it's floating on top of the final atlas bone, and it's held there by the muscles. So it's the head is totally free on top of the vertebra.
Oh, thank
Did
you.
you know that?
No, no.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not attached like the rest of the joints are attached with the cartilage. The head is just floating and it's held up by the muscles.
So that's why it's easier to. Okay.
Yeah,
It's free floating. All right.
yeah. Now let's place the hands here again and squeeze a very strong fist.
Grr.
And do you feel, yeah, it's like, whoa, Rumbo. So when you squeeze the fists, do you feel how many muscles it activates? Yes, and also shoulders.
Also
So you
short.
really get a good workout from there. So all you do is now twist the upper body and you come back forward and
Inward.
really gently. Yeah, just twist the arms and come back forward. Inhale and exhale, twist. And inhale, exhale, twist. And forward and exhale, twist. Inhale, last one. Exhale, twist. And rest.
I'm dizzy.
Yeah, because it gets the blood circulation going. It's exactly the same like Kyla was saying that when you relax the neck, it gets the circulation going and it brightens up your mind. It's the same thing that when we build the strength, then the neck muscles can relax. Because the reason why the shoulder top of the shoulders and the neck muscles tense up because we have no strength in the other parts of the body. Now, let's do another thing. Place the elbows again forward, strong fists.
Okay.
And elbows are shoulder width.
Okay.
Now you really have to pull your stomach in and you lift your knee towards your elbow. Yeah. And the other one.
Inhale and exhale where?
Exhale when you lift the knee and inhale when you put it down. And exhale, you lift, inhale down. Exhale, lift, inhale down. Last one. Exhale and down and rest for a second.
I feel like one of those chat show hosts who's got this like really cool guest who just makes me look silly on screen.
Yes. Now stretch your legs out as far as they go when you sit on the chair. Now this is one of my favorite exercises, especially when I have to, because I'm also studying in university again, and I have to work a lot behind the computer writing my essays and my papers. So one of the favorite ones is that when you sit, you stretch your legs long and you reach your arms up. Now really reach the arms up and make sure your neck is free so you don't tense the neck up. Now inhale deeply. And now as you exhale, round yourself forward on top of your legs.
Oh, wow. I need more room.
And now you slide your hands on your legs as you come up.
So.
Let's start again. Stretch your arms to the ceiling. Keep your neck free and light.
Yeah.
Inhale deeply. And now round like you go over a very big ball. Round forward towards your toes as far as your arms go without feeling pain. And now you slide your palms on your legs as you round up.
Are you still exhaling as you round up?
Well, you can inhale then. You can just keep on freely breathing.
Talk me through the breath. So it's in here.
You stretch, inhale. Now exhale, you round forward. Now you start inhaling as you come up. And when you up, you exhale.
Okay.
So that's quite a deep stretch for their lower back and back of the thighs. So these are very simple exercises that you can do in the office. Okay. Now another funny one. Okay. Let me give you one more. Yeah, sure. So that's a funny one. Place your hands on your seat. You know, like on the part of the seat that where you're sitting on. So I'll show you this way. So you can lean back a little bit on your chair.
Lean back a little bit on the chair.
Yeah. Okay. So when you sit on the chair, you come a little bit more forward on the chair.
A little bit more forward on the chair.
Yeah, as far forward as it allows you to come. And now place your hands on the, the
seat.
What's it? Seat. Yeah, on the seat base, so say. And now lean a little bit back. Yeah. So you support yourself with your hands. Now bring your feet up.
Oh, no
See if
way.
you can bring them up. And you do a bicycle.
Oh, right. Okay, so you cycle in your chair.
Yes.
Let's see.
Oh, that's a great one.
Can anyone? Because one of our guests was saying, "Can you do this properly so we can see?" Well, I'm hoping they can see you. I hope you're not relying on me. I'm going to keep the plan. Here we go. Right, like that.
Yes. But in the beginning, when it's too difficult with two legs, Do it just with one leg.
Oh, okay, I'll just do one for now.
Yeah, do
I'm
for
old.
one, and then you switch and do the other leg.
Okay.
So really, yes, so it really gets your muscles working, especially when you have to sit in the office full day. And you can do that. I mean, unless you have an open office and you have a mini skirt, then I don't recommend to do the bicycle. But if you're in a private office or you have pants, I mean, it's just fun. Let the other people join in and have fun together. Do the exercises.
Okay, well, aside from it being fun and me looking a bit silly because I'm old and decrepit now, um, what else is this? What else is this doing for us? Because I mean, it makes sense to me. Exercise, good. Eating well, good. Breathing, pretty essential for a human. But what benefits is this happening? Talk us through the whole parasympathetic system.
Well, actually, it might sound silly, but I'm not the biggest fan of exercise. I don't run marathons. I don't do Iron Woman, all these things. I'm not a very big fan of exercise. But
Okay.
what I do say is when you put your mental and your physical together, it builds the good hormones like there's serotonin, dopamine. It builds up the good hormones that actually your good health depends on two things. When you feel good and you have a good emotions and you do just about enough exercises to keep the muscles toned.
Uh-huh.
You you don't have to do a heavy exercise so that you're half dead if you don't enjoy it. Some people enjoy it. When I was young, I loved rock climbing and I would go into high mountains and it was a big challenge. I enjoyed it then. Now I don't feel that I want to do that anymore, but I do enjoy exercising as much as it makes me feel good. And I think that's the most important thing is to get your mind and physical into balance. So you do, when you start to build, for instance, for you, Jim, if you feel that you're not such a big fan of this healthy eating and all this exercise, or you don't find that it really, finds you well, take little steps like cut out sugar for some period, or cut out a wheat, or cut out, take a little baby steps and get this great feeling of success that, wow, I feel so much better. Or do these mini exercises that you feel, oh, my hips feel stronger, my lower back doesn't get tired anymore when I walk in the park, and etc. Or I do the chest exercises or the stretches, so, oh, my neck doesn't hurt anymore when I sit behind the computer,
Mhm.
etc. So you get these little success stories in your own life, and then you start to enjoy these things. That's the most important thing, is to enjoy what you do.
I started to enjoy eating salads, which I used to really not like. All right. I started eating a little bit more at the time. Then you get used to it, and then you're right. You start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I actually love a good bowl of green salad now. Whereas like a year ago, you'd never have got me eating a whole bowl of green salad. It's amazing. So what I'm hearing from this is that the more you do it, the more happy hormones you create. Therefore, the more you enjoy it. Therefore, the more you want to do it. So it starts off
Yeah.
being a necessity, but then becomes something you enjoy.
Yeah. And I enforce that the key point is that take a little baby steps.
Uh-huh.
Because often with a New Year's resolution, what happens? Oh, I will lose weight, I will do exercises, I will do this, this, this. And then by the 3rd of January, like you're tired of all this because it's too much, because you have your real life as well. You have family, children, or school or work, whatever
Work.
you have, you know.
Do you remember? Do you remember the quote from the statistic from last week?
Yes, I think
Was
it
it
was. Tell us again. That was great fun.
92% of all New Year's resolutions fail, but in the year. But did you know that 80% fail in the first month?
See,
It's amazing. We're
and
going to be
that's why
talking
I'm here to help you through it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will be your guide with little baby steps.
we're going to we've got a few questions that are coming. I'm going to ask you them shortly, so please hold fire. Any more questions, drop them into the chat. We've got a brief Q&A coming up, but I wanted to pick up on something, Britt, while you're still in that position. You're mentioning how we can get into the habit of doing one form of exercise or another form, and then you said lower back. Is there anything in this office environment scenario where you can do something for the lower back? Because that is a personal issue of mine.
Absolutely.
I try to keep my back straight. I try to sit up. I elevate my screen. For example, my screen is this high off the desk at the moment. But what about the lower back?
Well, first of all, when there's a severe tightness in your lower back, then the first step is to stretch it. So if you look at me sideways, again, think of me as I'm sitting in that office chair like you are. And now take one of the legs and take both hands behind your thigh and lift it up. Now try to use the weight of your leg. So the other foot is on the floor, pushes the floor as you lift your back and taking do you feel that? Yeah. So you can actually use the weight of your leg that is in your hands to bring yourself upright.
It's actually the posterior chain I can feel.
Yes. And now when you feel the stretch and you feel the uprightness, all you have to do is start stretching the leg in your hand. And it doesn't have to go too far in the beginning. Important thing is that you don't change anything else apart the leg angle.
The only thing that moves is the lower leg.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that's a really nice stretch. And then you do it with the other leg.
What's the breathing discipline here?
Just make sure that you get a nice and calm rhythm of breathing. You stretch, you inhale, and as you lower the leg, you exhale. And just really gently breathe. Inhale the leg up and exhale the leg down.
I think it'll be a while before I get it that high.
That's fine, but I'm just showing it so it could see, the movement of the leg. But you will start on the angle where it goes. The most important thing is to get the nice stretch and hold everything still, because sometimes, some people who have really tight back, the leg only moves that far, or even the challenge is to bring the knee up. That could be also difficult in the beginning. So it's maybe the first part is trying to bring the knee up and lowering if you have a really severe tightness here. And then the next step is reaching the leg. So, but the knee bringing up is the one that stretches the lower back and your seat.
Wow, thank you. Brilliant. Come back to the screen. Let's have another conversation. So, guys, if you're watching the recording, then you have the wonderful opportunity now just to hit pause, rewind, go back to the beginning, and do that exercise for 10 to 15 minutes. But questions, Britt? Thank you. It's fantastic. You've given me something to do in the office.
Good.
So if I'm feeling the pressure of the day, I can just do that stretch.
Or you can set the alarm clock that you do the stretches and the exercise every 2 hours, for instance.
That's a good point. Actually, I have a colleague that does that sometimes, setting an alarm to have periodic stretches. So yes, I'm going to start. So that's another healthy habit we can start to form in 2022. I want to bring this full circle, if I may. I want to try and bring this back all the way around, back to the beginning, and link it back to our emotions. Because 2021 has been a very testing time for many people. And many people have had many tests this year as well. That's a COVID joke. And as testing as these times might be for us emotionally, it's the physical effect that we feel the most in the end, right? Because the body remembers, yes?
Yeah.
And the body stores that tension, right? So if we're going through, can we take grief as an example?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because grief is a very interesting example. It's I've heard and I've experienced that when you're in grief, you tend to hunch over. You tend to protect your heart and your lungs. So all these exercises that you're doing help us to do what? They help us to open up? Literally?
I think the most important thing is gets the movement going to even enable the emotion to be released.
Hmm.
Because when you tight up, you can't even get the emotion to be released. You keep the emotion tight in your, let's say, chest or in your heart, in your emotional heart, and it keeps on winding the tightness. So that tightness is keeping winding the emotion locked up in your chest, and the emotion, because it's locked, it keeps on winding and deepening the stress
Hmm.
and the anxiety and the trauma or your grief. So when you start to opening the body up, you actually allow the grief to come out, and then you're able to actually deal with it, because as long as you keep it tight inside, it keeps digging deeper and deeper. So the exercise helps you, because mentally, when we lost our loved one, we can't deal with it mentally. You can't say, "Oh, Jim, it will be fine." It won't be fine.
Yeah,
I've
there's no
lost the
logical
person.
processing there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it will never be fine, if you lose a loved one. But the thing is, in order to deal with the grief, you need to get the emotion moving. And then once the emotion is out, you can deal with it. You can say, you can start to be grateful for the moments you had with that person. You start to be grateful for the things that they've given you or the experience you've had with them.
Hmm.
Or you can start to forgive if you've had issues. Like sometimes children, when they lose their parent, they've had issues in the past. Some, even maybe not talk to the parent for years. And then you have, on top of grief, you have guilt.
Hmm.
You have sorrow because why I didn't mend that relationship before, etc. So you have lots of guilt dealing with the grief as well. So what you can do is that when you open your body up and you start to build that core strength, it enables you to look at the grief and say, okay, if I made something wrong or that person made something wrong towards me, I decide to forgive you. And I forgive myself if I wasn't able to deal with the issue earlier. And as it come, the person has left this earth. But I want to ask, you can still ask their forgiveness for yourself. Say, please forgive me if I made these wrong decisions. So you can actually deal with the grief and you can deal with the emotion. Or if you've been, experienced trauma, you can say, here's the trauma, here's the emotion. And I can say to that person who maybe hurt me, I can say, well, I don't appreciate you hurting me. And I don't, it's not right what you did, but I decide to forgive you because I want to be free from the anxiety.
What is that forgiveness thing? Because I'm seeing you, so maybe I'm projecting here a little bit. If I am, then please correct me. But what
Yeah.
I'm seeing and hearing is when you talk about guilt or sorrow or trauma or the stage before forgiveness, I see this happening.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about forgiveness, I see this happening.
Yeah.
So is forgiveness a physical act?
Absolutely. It's
How?
the same way. It's, well, I mean, physical and emotion is really strongly connected, because when you forgive, what you do is you also open your body up
Hmm.
and you let the emotion go. Whatever emotion is stored here due to the grief or unforgiveness or trauma, you let it go.
So,
And yeah,
so this is what I mean about bringing it around full circle. Then, so earlier we had this stuff about water, and one of our viewers has asked how much water, how much of this mineral water a day should we be drinking?
mm.
One question.
Well, the mineral water is should be an, if you don't put a lot of salt, if you think about quarter of the teaspoon, uh, and liter of water, or a pint of water is half a liter, right? So it's
But
two
yeah,
pints of water, or 1 liter of water, and just a quarter of the teaspoon. So it's a tiny bit of salt. Then it's just, what it does is it's not so strongly mineralated so that it becomes too much. It
okay,
just helps the body to absorb the water. So it
okay.
becomes almost like a medium for the water and your cells. So it kind of takes as a bridge, the mineral takes as a bridge the water to your cells. That's all it does. So you can drink it as much as you feel like it. What I recommend is cut out other drinks like sugary drinks, any
Yeah,
kind of gassy drinks, any kind of bottled drinks, and replace it with just pure water.
with a little bit of mineral
Yeah, yeah,
and
with a
lemon
pinch of
juice,
salt, the
organic
alkaline
lemon
water.
juice.
Yeah.
Okay. Another of our viewers mentioned apples. Apples are like what, 90% water. Any views on this?
Well, it's yes, you can eat apples if you like apples and if you feels comfortable. Not everybody can eat too many apples during the day because of the digestion system.
Hmm.
There's also with any kind of fruits, where is it coming from and how is it being grown? Whether it's used a lot of chemicals. So,
It's
especially
all
this,
organic.
yeah, pesticides and all these, because all of these citrus fruits and apples that contain a lot of water, they also absorb a lot of chemicals if they used to grow them. So in that sense, if you have nice organic apples, yes, and if they work with the digestive system, but I still recommend to drink a little bit of water with it.
Okay, good. So you're in a situation where you maybe are grieving something. Maybe you've lost a loved one this year, or whether it be from COVID or from any other illness, or maybe you've had some kind of traumatic event. So you found yourself constantly doing this, or hunching up, or looking down, or resting on your. That's a bad one, by the way, isn't it? Resting on your elbow. That's bad for the
Yeah,
arm and the neck.
yeah,
So the recommendation would be the ritual could be grab some water, a little bit of Himalayan pink salt in there, a bit of organic lemon juice, drink, breathe, and go through a ritual to forgive yourself or to forgive the other person.
hmm,
And that's when we can start doing that breathing stuff. We can take Kyla's neck stretching in. Then we can bring in your. That was
stretching.
that one first, wasn't it? Yeah, that
Yeah,
one first. Inhale as you stretch back. Exhale as you bring forward.
yeah,
And then we can do the clenching thing, and the clenching thing activates all
yeah,
these muscle groups. And then we can do
yeah,
the stretching thing, and then we can do the sitting in the chair with the legs out thing, and then the cycling. And
yeah.
you bring all that back together, and you do that once a day for 20 minutes. How much impact will that really have on my life?
If you do it 2 weeks in a row every day, you will be a different person in the end of 2 weeks.
Is that a challenge?
It's a challenge. And you feel that you have so much more strength emotionally. You smile so much more because you actually do feel that your body is carrying you. And another little thing that I would add to all of this that you already mentioned is the gratitude. I think
Mhm.
that's also with forgiveness, it's another very key element of our human being is being grateful because that releases you from all the anxiety about the future. Because now, due to the COVID and all this stress that we have in our lives, it's really hard to have any future plans because we don't know what the tomorrow holds. And lots of people are stressed because of that as well. And I always recommend that when you can't look into tomorrow, focus on today and start focusing inward and start focusing. Maybe it's a gift this time of the the craziness to force us to focus inside and force us to focus on today, because I think human nature is generated the way throughout the centuries and thousands of years that we always produce things into the future. And we always think of our children's future and our own future and who we will become, what we will study. Like, normal question. Now, Jim, you've just finished your high school. So, who do you want to become? Where do you go? Which university you will go to? It's we always ask about the future, and nobody asks you. So, how do you feel today as you finish the high school? Are you happy? Nobody asks that, right? Always like, so what are you going to do in the future? When you're a young person. And actually, we had that kind of the inner focus always to the tomorrow. Oh, once I'm on pension, then I will travel. No, do it today or be today and love yourself today. Be healthy today because we don't know what the tomorrow will bring. So the stronger we are today, the better we face tomorrow. And I think that's my kind of gift to you all is that focus on today and make the most valuable day of today. And then you can face the tomorrow with much stronger you.
And tomorrow's a new today.
Yes.
That's brilliant. I'm hearing a today theme going on. And
Yeah.
Alison has written, "My New Year's resolution starts today." and
Sounds great.
and to those of you attending today or watching the recording, which will come tomorrow, but when you're watching it, it's actually today. But that was hearing me yesterday. Anyway, it's today, right? So when you're watching this now, today, this is the first step in your commitment to a revitalized and re-energized you, a true you.
True you.
Do you know what? It's amazing, Britt. We have no more questions, which means the material has answered anybody's questions for them. Fantastic. But
Excellent.
if later on any of you are watching, or if you're watching the recording, you can still reach out to us. You can follow us on our normal channels. My colleague Eric will put the channels into the chat soon. So you can drop a comment into the Facebook feed. Either Britt or I will pick that question up. So Britt, look out for the next few days.
Yeah.
There might be some questions drop into the Facebook feed. And if we get any questions on email, hello@catalyfe.com, I'll be sure to forward them to you so you can answer them. But that kind of brings us towards a conclusion for today. I've really enjoyed it. And I think putting last week's webinar and this week's webinar together, if you get the chance, people, watch them back to back. And you'll notice I'm wearing the same shirt. I'm sorry. But watch them back to back, and that'll give you a really good close for 2021 and set you up for 2022 in the way that you want 2022 to go. Right. Alison says she'll definitely rewatch them. Excellent. I will too. I'm sure you will. But as usual, the last word is not from me. The last word of actual meaningful content should always go to our guest speaker. So, Britt, I invite you to give the single greatest piece of advice to anyone wishing to improve their lives next year, next week.
Well, my deepest desire is to be the companion on your journey. And I think after 25 years working with people, that's my greatest passion to help people to take this step by step forward towards better life and overall better life, happier relationships, happier you self, happier emotions, happier body. And so I really, really hope that you will find the support and you will find the great guidance from this webinar. You get already a bunch of gifts to take with you for the next year and lots of little clues and hints how to improve your health already. And if you feel that this is a great way to go forward, I'm here for you and I would love to guide you further and let's explore it together, what the life brings.
Fabulous. That's a beautiful gifts that you have, Britt. And I want to thank you and honor you for all the gifts that you've brought to us over the last 12 months. And I know you have more to come. So watch this space. People, Britt has more stuff coming to Catalyfe. Super privileged to be in your company, not just as a friend, but as a colleague now. And I'm learning so much from you. And I really hope that continues into next year too. So people, there you go. There's the invitation. So all that remains to be said is to say thank you to those who have attended today. Thank you to anyone watching the recordings. And Britt, most of all, thank you so much for you today, for bringing you, your true you, your butterfly you, your wonderful you to all of us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim, for being a great host.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Britt.